Are you struggling with your relationship? We're talking about unconditional love, and my guest says the first thing is give love first on this episode of Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia Tyler, and I'm excited because we're going to be talking about relationships and unconditional love. And really, Roman Madanes is going to bring it down to give love first. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Mr. Roman. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, everyone. Roman here. Thank you so much for having me today, Tony. That's a privilege.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here because, like I said, you're going to talk about one of the dear subjects I always talk about, relationships. But before we really dive into it, can you tell us a bit about who you are and how you've been dealing with this whole COVID-19 period?
Yeah, I'm a life coach working from Toronto, Canada, and I have lived here for 1 year and a half. So I actually had immigrated from Russia. And I've been loving it so far. It's great. And even with the COVID situation, I think comparing to what's happening in Russia, I love how Toronto treats the whole situation. I think it's much safer overall. I love it. So I've been blessed in so many ways, including my immigration and the COVID situation, because I haven't gotten the virus.
That's good. That's good. So,
how about you?
I'm doing good. Actually, the stay-at-home thing has been working out for my favor. Like I said, we wouldn't be able to have this podcast if I hadn't. So, I'm not thankful for the fact that people got sick or anything like that, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to be shut down and cocoon myself and figure out how to make this work. So, and I get to connect with great people like you. So I get to hear some of the great insight that you have going on. And like I said, you're a relationship coach. So I always how can we improve our relationships? So I know that's another topic, but we're going to talk about unconditional love. So,
oh yeah.
So my first question is, for those who really don't understand it, what is unconditional love?
All right. So basically, there are 3 levels of relationships. The first one is when you go into a relationship just to get something out of it. You're totally selfish. The second level is that you go into the relationship for something, but you are ready to give something in return. So that's like trading, You make me feel fulfilled, you fulfill my needs, and I fulfill yours. That's the second level of relationships. And that's better than selfish love, but it's not really fulfilling. And the ultimate level is where very few people live. It's unconditional love. It's when you go into the relationship to give. You give love without any expectations. You don't expect your partner to reciprocate. That's it. And the point of this whole thing is that you feel real love by actually giving it. That's when you feel it. And I always ask people to think of like a puppy or a small child, like a newborn. You love them not because they give you something. They're not there yet. They don't have anything to give, but you just love them because you choose to do so. You give them love, and that's when you feel it right in your heart.
Right. So I love how you talk about unconditional love. And so many people I know are always thinking they're looking for love, but that's not what they're actually giving. Because like you said, if you're looking for something in return, that's not unconditional love.
True.
And I know that builds with time. So, I mean, as what's the common things that you face when you're dealing with people who are coming to you for your advice? What's the common thing, you want to talk about if they're going to build this unconditional love? What's your advice?
The advice?
Yeah.
The advice is actually to practice it. Like Stephen Covey says, love is a verb. So don't think about your feelings. I mean, they are important, but it's not about having the feeling inside you. It's about doing loving actions toward your partner or toward your kids or toward even the world at large. That's how you practice love.
Right. What I'm trying to get at, and I guess maybe I'm diving down a little bit, because like I said, people are looking for love, but
Okay.
how do you actually find love for you to give love? That's what I'm trying to say. You know, we can always say I'm giving love, but it's not love because there's certain things that we're not picking up on. You know, and I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, how do you give love if you don't know what love is for yourself? You think it is, but how do you know you're giving love? I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm not sure either. Can you make
like examples? Like, I didn't understand, for me, and this is my personal journey, and I gave love like thinking I did a bunch of stuff. I took care of my husband, I took care of my kids, but I didn't really know what love was for myself until I started to take care of myself. And I take care of myself now like I would take care of somebody else. So like I said, how do you get to that level, or what advice would you give to that person who's looking to get to that kind of relationship for themselves?
I think what you're talking about is self-care. And the whole idea of it is that you build the reserves in you by loving yourself, so that you can then share the love that you have inside with the other world, with the rest of the world. And let's say, for example, a person who works, let's say 16 hours per day, they just don't have anything left to give because they don't spend the time on self-care. And so my best advice is actually to find that work and life balance. So let's say, you work 8 or 10 hours, that's fine. But then you go home and you spend time doing things that you like, that give you, that restore your energy, that rejuvenate you. And I call it strategic laziness. You've got to be lazy because your body needs that break from work. And that's self-care. And it's totally okay to be greedy and actually do something for yourself. Like, let's say you come home, even if you have a family to take care of, you don't need to worry too much about like your duties. It's okay actually to tell your family, guys, I'm taking these 2 hours to pamper myself. Like, I don't know, in a spa salon.
Right.
And you'll have like to cook your dinner yourself. And that's fine. That is self-care. You're not putting other people's interests first.
Right.
Sometimes.
And I like that because I think that's where you start to learn more how you dive into this unconditional love, because how you treat yourself could be a great way of how you segue into how you treat others, right?
Absolutely. If you run yourself into the ground with work, that's exactly how you will treat others. You will then criticize them because you will be expecting same attitude from them, and that never works.
Right. I love it. Like I said, I love relationships, and you talk about give love first, and like I said, I don't think I even knew what love was until I started to, learn what self-care was, because I was running on empty. And I think, you think a lot of people are running on empty and just don't get it?
Absolutely. It's really shocking how many people do that. And I run into this all the time. Well, let's say a marriage where a woman felt that her man was not taking enough care of the family, so she took everything upon herself. And that was, she was the breadwinner. She tried to raise the kids properly, like taking them to school and all those, different after school activities. And then she took care of the home. And that's a very common trend. People really, really are running on empty.
Right. Yeah, like you said, and then then you're trying to say, I'm going to give you my extra love, but it's like I'm depleted. I can't give you love. I'm looking like all excuses why things ain't working the way it is because you're depleted. You're
Exactly.
exhausted. I love it. So I am fascinated, and we didn't really talk about. I mean, maybe because we were only there for the thing. How did you get into the relationship portion of? How did this become your passion?
Um, well, actually, my background is that I went through a painful divorce back in 2013. And at that point, I realized that I was so bad at relationships. I did not understand my wife, ex-wife. I did not understand how to be a great parent for my son. And I didn't know how to be accepting with my parents. So I went through a lot of learning, a lot of practicing. So really taking each idea for relationships, each strategy, and then testing it on myself and, my loved ones to see how I can improve with them. And I got better with time. So I realized at some point, I realized, yeah, I can help people with this because I know quite a lot about relationships, and especially from my practice. And I also felt that I was relatable because of this divorce experience.
Right. So what you're trying to do, and before we dive into this next question, which I always got to remember, if you're getting on what Roman is putting down, you're picking up some of his golden nuggets. Give us a thumbs up. Remember, and put a comment down below so we can follow up on some of this relationship advice that he's giving. Because, like I said, the best teacher sometimes is our experience. So, I mean, for those who, I mean, you're sharing your story, and I know sometimes, you don't have to dive into like how it all came about, but sometimes you're sharing is like you can learn some of the things that went wrong to be able to help other people build it to make it right. So you went into the
Absolutely.
relationships. So this is something near and dear to your heart that you're trying to help other people say, recognize some of these red flags. And we're talking about some of the red flags. What are some of the red flags that we talk about unconditional love when you're saying I'm giving it with more I guess expectations. How do you pick up when you're doing that? How do you know when you're doing that on your other partner?
Well, you know that when you actually feel like you're not accepting them as they are, when you have all these different requirements, all those different expectations. Let's say you feel that they're not giving me 100% attention, or I don't like that they are, throwing their clothes all over the place. They don't clean up after themselves, or I don't like how they speak to our kids, whatever. Just really, when you catch yourself criticizing your partner,
Mm,
that's conditional love right there.
right.
And then another big thing is when you actually withhold love. You say, I'm actually not going to do something for you until you do this and that for me. You have to do it first, and then I will kiss you, right? That's totally conditional love.
Right. So how do you? I guess my advice: if you're mad, you want to have this unconditional love. You say this and stuff in your heart. How do you get past your own little hang up and say, you know what, this is not unconditional love. I'm mad. How do I get past this and show that love? I mean, what would be some of your advice to like people say, you're holding on to stuff. What would you say to people who are holding on to stuff to build the relationships?
Well, if you're doing this yourself, well, let's say without a counselor or a coach, which is something I recommend. Well, one thing to do is actually to start a journal where you write down all those moments, all those episodes when you feel like you love conditionally. Then
I
it will
like
help you become aware of those, and you'll actually analyze why you're doing that. So that awareness alone is curative.
mm,
And And the second thing is you can do affirmations to reprogram yourself. Spend a couple of minutes every morning when you brush your teeth saying something to yourself like, I love my, let's say, husband unconditionally. I'm total love. I love with zero expectations.
I like that.
I'm here to give love no matter what.
Those are some really great affirmations. And I think that just not dealing with relationships, you can live that for yourself, which we talked about. Self-care is a critical part. So we talking about awareness. Awareness is one of the biggest factors, like, to building a good relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. Actual awareness is key to everything, because if you're going into a relationship unconscious, or any relationship, actually, maybe friendship or maybe a relationship at work, if you're doing that without being conscious, whole hell can break loose. Because you really want to know what you're doing.
Right. Well, we're getting close to our time, Mr. Roman, and I really want to know, what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with on this episode?
I would really suggest you to not make the mistake that I did, which was taking my relationship for granted and being so arrogant that to the point where I felt that I didn't have to, develop my relationship skills, because I sort of had them. I don't know why. It's like all men, they believe that they're great fighters. And in the same vein, a lot of people believe that their relationship doesn't require any special attention, any special work. But no, it's just another area of your life, like sports or work or business, where you need to develop the skills. You don't know them by default. You don't know them just by coming out of your mother's womb. No, you got to learn them.
Right.
They are so important, because losing your relationship can be disastrous, and you don't really appreciate it until you lose it, oftentimes, unfortunately.
Right. Wow. Like you said, yeah, you hit the nail on the heart. Nail on the head is, don't take them for granted. And I love that. Like I said, because I know a lot of people don't dive into relationships. Like, oh, relationships are not that hard. Yeah, they are. They're work.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So, Mr. Roman, where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do?
I love your listeners to go to my website, which is romanmiranow.com, spelled as ROMANMIRONOV.com. Hit the contact tab, sign up for a free session with me. We'll go from there, and make sure to tell me that you're coming off Tony's podcast, so that I could give you a discount. I love to do that. 30%.
I like that. Thank you, Mr. Roman. And I also want to invite you to come back if you want to dive more into it, because like I said, you touched some nuggets that I think a lot of people just didn't pick up on. It's like taking your relationship for granted can be disastrous. So
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and I want to continue success, and I'm fascinated with this whole you coming to Canada and stuff like that. I'm always fascinated with people's stories, so I'd love to hear more about that. I would love to have you come back on and explain your transition if you would love to.
Totally.
And again, I want to thank everybody who tuned in. Remember, feedback is always welcome. Emails, any guest and show ideas that you have. Links to all of Roman's sites will be listed in the description box. So please make sure you check them out down there below. Again, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the episode. And if you're enjoying the insight, you want more of it, please make sure you hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we'll see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right, bye-bye for now.
Share with us. What was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.